third one is property. I don't think, because, okay, let's look at this behavioural thing, okay? Nearly everybody who gets on the property ladder, what they do is they go, how much money can we scrape together? That's our deposit, if we can manage it, okay? How much money can we borrow, okay? And then they look to the maximum amount they can borrow and scrape together, and they start looking for properties at that price. So as soon as interest rates go down, people are just going to start looking at £500,000 homes rather than £400,000 homes, which doesn't mean they get a better house, because the £400,000 house now costs £500,000. Okay, it's in a market of scarcity, all you're doing when you drop interest rates is bidding up these asset prices. Okay, now it seems fairly obvious to me that the Georgists had it right and that we should actually tax unimproved land value. And there needs to be some sort of tax on property at that level, because otherwise, there's a little bit working in kind of consumer capitalism where you look at the extent to which if you work for Samsung, right, you look at the extent to which televisions have become both better and cheaper. Okay. It's a spectacular achievement. I mean, you can go out and kind of casually buy a television which, the richest person in the world couldn't afford in 1990, pretty much, okay? Possibly even later than that, okay? It's a miracle, right? Now, all that seems to have happened in my adult lifetime is the money people have saved on fantastic televisions, on low-cost airlines, on all the innovations of capitalism has just got swallowed up by property prices. Yeah. All the gains from dual-income households basically ended up getting swallowed up by property prices.
It's ridiculous, really.
Okay? And it's a bit like that half-serious, half-joking comment about the Indian economy, which is the only problem with the Indian economy is that if GDP grows by 10%, the excess will just be spent on even bigger weddings. You know what I mean? I relayed that. It's not mine. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? But I relayed that to a friend of mine who was Indian, and he said, I've just got married, he said, and let me tell you, that's not even funny. Okay. But you know what I mean? There's certain things, and in India it's weddings, in England it's housing, where the rules for spending are as much as we can. Now, if we all bought cars the way we bought houses, which is how much money can I get together, and then what's the most I can afford to borrow before I hit starvation, right? We'd all be driving around in Aston Martins, wouldn't we, right? Okay? But we don't do this with cars. We go, well, there's a trade-off between how much I drive, how much utility I'll get out of an Aston Martin.
It is so interesting.
I only really use it to go to the shops. But nobody does that with housing, because as Marx would say, its investment value now dwarfs its use value.
Yeah.
And so we just see it as it's basically your one chance to get rich tax-free, so you bet the farm on that. And now, young people, bit of advice to your younger listeners, right? One of the solutions.
Listen up, folks. Listen up.
Okay, listen up, young people. Okay, there is a solution, okay, which is for young people to make suburbia cool.
Oh no.
Okay, because at the moment, it's really fashionable to live in Shoreditch. I'm never quite sure. When I go to Shoreditch, because I'm 56, half of me goes, this is really, really cool. God, look at the artisan coffee places. And half of me is going, it's a bit of a shithole. Why can't they clear up that graffiti? But if you could make Bromley cool, okay, you could actually, you could solve. Because I always say to my younger staff, I go, well, actually, now you've only got to commute in 2 days a week, right? You could actually get a pretty nice flat in Sevenoaks, okay? 2-bedroom flat in Sevenoaks, the last time I looked, you could get one for the high 200,000s, okay?
Yeah.
Now, in London, you had to pay twice as much as that for Dennis Nielsen's old flat, for God's sake, right? And that had a bloody serial killer living in it. Now, right, so it did. There was a lovely estate agent's note, by the way, when it came up for sale. It said, prospective buyers are advised to research the history of the property, which I thought, okay, right, I thought was a nice way of wording it, okay? Anyway, but you could, actually, one of my questions I'm asking at the moment is this assumption among all economists, all futurologists, that the future is urbanisation, the future is agglomeration, the future is high-density housing, high-rise housing. Has kind of Zoom and the pandemic kind of proved that as an unsafe assumption?
Absolutely.
Because, okay, It used to be, well, the trouble is you move out to Brighton, you spend half your bloody disposable income on a season ticket. Well, if you've only got to travel in 2 days a week, and one of those 2 trips you can do on an off-peak train, not quite the same problem.
Yeah.
Okay? Now you're getting 5 days by the seaside in exchange for 2 days of commute, when you used to be getting 2 days by the seaside in exchange for 5 days of commute.
It makes total sense. It's just fascinating how quickly the world is changing, right? And politics, as you said, is just clearly struggling to keep
Goldman
up.
Sachs wants everybody back in the office, but then if you look at banking, about 40% of investment is in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
So, surprise, surprise, they're quite keen for the office.
I do wonder how people will react to that. I mean, I saw the announcement by Apple as well, saying they wanted their staff to come in 4 days a week, I believe, and obviously they kind of set
to work in that enormous donut.
Yeah.
You have to say, by the way, that an enormous donut on 2 stories is about the least practical form of office design you could have, wouldn't it? Because you want to go and see somebody in a different department. It's like a 2-mile walk.
Yeah, it's good for your health. No,
I suppose, you can walk, you can cut across.
Close your Apple rings as well.
Yeah, true.
So.
Oh, that's true. You can close a few rings. Yeah.
A point on society, because I do wonder